Hey there, once again, folks. Welcome back to the New York Division Bergen line. We are going to be on another spur, which is much smaller than the typical branch video. We are on the Dundee Spur, and it's got quite a bit of history and backstory, as with a lot of stuff does on the New York Division Bergen line. Go ahead and take a quick look at where we're at here. So this is your main line right here. This goes down to Hoboken, and then this goes north and then west. So we are down here on this little kind of S-shaped branch line called the Dundee Spur, but it's packed full of stuff. It may look small, but it's got quite a bit you can do here. We are loaded up in the True Rail Simulation Conrail U36B X Auto Train Loco, and we've got a couple of customers to serve. So we're basically right here where the cars from the Spur would be thrown out for the interchange to take place. So just a bit of backstory so you understand what's going on here, because it took me a minute to kind of get comprehensive about this whole thing as well. This was originally, like a lot of this stuff out here, part of the Erie Railroad. And eventually, you know, we all know what happened with the Erie Railroad for like the 30th time in this series. Excuse me. And then it became the Conrail. And this little branch right here, Conrail, wasn't too hot about or keen on the idea of serving any longer. Well, this spur was home to several online customers, of which one is that big building back there with the water tank. And they did not want to see this spur shut down. They had freight railcar traffic. So one of the companies on this line, called ACF, Atlantic Coast Fibers, protested, got the money together, and saved it. Well, what we're doing here is, yes, I'm in a Conrail Loco, but what we're doing is pretending the company that owned and operated on this little spur, you know, we're saying the couple of engines they had are down. So Conrail's stepping in. You know, they're going to go ahead and take care of the couple of consignees and shippers that are on this branch. But anyway, this railroad was bought from Conrail, essentially, and turned into the New York and Greenwood Lake Railroad, which has no affiliation with the old Greenwood Lake Railroad. But anyway, yeah, there's a few things you can do on here. So it's a pretty neat place. Let's go ahead and get set up here. So Greenwood Lake took over, I believe, in 1996. They operated from, I want to say, 1996 to roughly 2019. They had several companies on here. They had one called Atlantic Coast Fibers, which is the one I mentioned a moment ago. They had the Passaic Wool & Co., and that was kind of hard getting some information on, because in this area back in the day, late 1800s, early 1900s, a lot of industrial revolution was taking place, and these huge factories and whatnot were being built along the Passaic River. And this is one of them that we're going to. So that's two customers. They also had it's a company called Philcon Services, and they handled construction debris. It was like some kind of way station. But that soon closed. It wasn't in operation for very long, and where Philcon Services used to be is where the New York and Greenwood Lake Railroad had their train shed, or shops, if you will. So anyway, we'll get to that once we get down there. But the NY and GL, they suspended ops in, I think, 2011, 2012, somewhere around there, when the last online customer closed its store. So they They really had no reason to operate any further. Eventually, I think their assets were seized by the IRS for unpaid taxes, some kind of something like that. It was sold to Passaic Street Properties, I think in 2018. That's when the deal fully went through, and they abandoned the line essentially, and they wanted to develop property, so building apartments, parks, all kinds of stuff like that. Now, the New York and Greenwood Lake Railroad had quite a bit of rolling stock. They had a GP9, GP7, SW9, U34CH, Alco FA1, a bunch of heavyweight coaches, all kinds of stuff. So in 2020, the very last time, pause it right here, the very last time anything ran down this awesome little street running line right here was in October of 2020, and they removed everything. So that was pretty much the last time. But this little bit right here is amazing. Love street running. So as I mentioned, this is the main line here. That goes from Hoboken to Port Jervis that away. Couple of crossings. It's of course complete with speed boards. And again, it's done up, you know, from, even got this little dude over here loading stuff or unloading stuff on these pallets. You know, even though it's small and it's not a whole lot of trackage, I think it's about a mile, maybe mile and a half. It's not a lot. It's still jam-packed with scenery. And just this little street running bit right here is just cool as hell. Absolutely adore stuff like this. See up and down these streets here. This right here, I believe, is... You can tell it's a religious center of some type. It's like the Albanian Islamic Center School Academy or something like that. So that's what that is there, I think. That back there, of course, would be the current Norfolk Southern interchange for as long as it did run. And right up here, we've got this cool little train bridge. This is the Half Moon Trestle. And then there's the actual street over here. So this is the Passaic River that you have right here. And it's pretty snaky. It bends around that way over there. And it bends around that way over there. But earlier what I was saying about the kind of industrial revolution sweeping the Northeast, there were a ton of mills and factories that dealt with fibers and whatnot that ran up here. And I think he even went as far to create this one here, which was the a pretty famous building for the area. This was the Botany Wurst Mills, and this whole area, if I'm not mistaken, now is considered like a historic district, and it looks pretty cool. I looked it up on maps and online as well, naturally, but I looked up this building in particular, and he even, again, with the 3 root assets of what's available, he built that to a T for what that looks like in real life. And it was actually kind of difficult to find old photos and things like that. But, you know, even that down here, there's nothing else down here. He still built that. So that's cool. I like that. Watch the train come across the trestle. So what we're doing here today is we are bringing, like I said, the NY and GL locos are down for the count. You know, they're getting some work done or whatever. Conrail has reluctantly agreed to step in. And they're going to be serving the online customers here today. So we got a couple of cars that we're going to switch here. Going to roll over the trestle here. But essentially, you can run this spur all the way back in the Erie days to, I want to say about up to, I guess 2012? That's when the last online customer shut its doors, but, you know, they were still moving stock back here, the New York and Greenwood Lake. Maybe some maintenance away stuff going on, getting rid of old, you know, track ties, just stuff. Alright, so what we're pulling into right here is essentially the Passaic yard. I think. Now it's got Dundee Park track. What happened after this whole area was just razed and ripped up of its glorious tracks and all that, they built a park right here, right alongside the river, and he's got part of that put in there. But it's really fleshed out now if you look at current maps, sadly. But of course, this is where they would store cars, swap, stuff like that. So what we're going to do is, since this is just a spur, it's essentially dead end, we're going to run down here and stop, cut these cars off, and run around and grab them from the back and shove them. And then we're going to be headed on around that away. You can see one of the customers right there. That's Atlantic Coast Fibers. They deal with like recycling fibers and stuff like that, I believe. I don't know the exact nuts and bolts of it, but we'll go ahead and stop right here, and we'll come run around these cars. Alright, and I just got a bunch of other cars set around here for, you know, whatever reason. But like I said, you could run several decades worth back in here. So let's see, I parked those on track 4. We're going to need to get on track 1. So just essentially the first switch, we should be alright. Got you a nice little footbridge over the yard here. Alright, there it is. That's the one we want to clear. Alright, let's see. Track 1. Run all the way back to the first switch there. There we go. Forgot how to do the headlights on their Loco. It's like Control-Shift-H. Criminy. Can't remember. There we go. Alright, we're good to go. Alright, so let's run back and get on the ass end of these cars down here. We're going to shove them on down there. Now, I would have done Norfolk Southern. That would have been a little bit more modern, but I feel like I just did Norfolk Southern on here, so I kind of wanted to spice it up. Throw a little of that lovely Conrail blue back on here. Plus this True Rail simulation U36 is just pretty badass. It's a good loco, good pack. Alright, now we got a 10 coming back up right over the trestle there. Slow it down a little bit. There's our switch there. And so anyway, the shop out here, you'll see it once we round the bend up yonder here. That's the New York and Greenwood Lake. Make sure I got the pathing right on here. New York and Greenwood Lake Railroad. It was their shed, essentially, warehouse, maintenance shop, whatever you want to call it. And after their consignees and shippers pretty much, you know, bought the farm, so to speak, they tried to materialize a passenger train excursion, if you will. I don't know if that ever fully happened or not, but they started accumulating cars, coaches, and you know, engines and stuff like that, and they would store them up here at the shop. And that's a bit of what we'll see that I have sitting up here. Luckily, what's kind of cool and special about this Dundee Spur, and what I was trying to represent, what he created, Minerman, of course, with the New York Division Bergen line, is we've got quite a bit of rolling stock that is pretty perfect for this area back here. So you'll see once we get up there. So unfortunately, the Passaic Woolen Company, that's at the very end of the spur, and it is a massive industrious area. It's part of the historic district now. It doesn't exist anymore, and it shut its doors. There we go. It shut its doors, I want to say, in like the 1950s. Go ahead and charge the lines up here. There we go. Anyway, it shut its doors in the 50s, but, you know, you could easily play around with it because I'm sure they were removing stuff from there, you know, well beyond the 50s, so. So that's where we're headed first, and then we're going to pull back. That's where the two box cars are going, so we're just, I figure we're going to load those two box cars at Passaic Woolen Company, and they're going to load old machinery, stuff like that in them. And this low-sided gondola, or whatever you want to call it, we've got right in front of the engine here. That's going to go to Atlantic Coast Fibers. They would typically be full of just recyclable material, I guess you could say. But ACF would ship as well, so they would ship finished product, and that is going to come out in the form of a box car, which is what I've got set up down here that we're going to drag back out once we're done with our work. Got a couple of cool little crossings right here, I believe 2. Yep. But this area is just really ornate and just thick with detail. Oh, you're not supposed to see that yet. Trying to save the goodies, but here you go, 2 crossings. Complete with the crossbucks, this custom-made crossbucks. And a lot of these buildings, I really don't have to reiterate, are custom. All kinds of different buildings stuck together to make one kind of building. And you've got a little bit of a grade here too, like we're rolling up a 1.3 right now as well, so it's not like you're gonna have a super heavy load or be carrying any kind of crazy speed. But regardless, we'll pause it right there. But I just love this intersection here. Well, he's got these curbs. Got the plants and the weeds and flowers, all that in there. And of course you can see what I'm talking about with the mixed buildings. I mean, just look at that one right there. That's like 3 or 4 maybe in one. And you got this, and it's not right angled, you know. It's I hate to say it, but if you were to buy a route from like Dovetail, you know, for $40 on the Steam store, I don't know that they could do something like that. You know, just to be honest, be fair. But that looks cool as hell. I love areas that are close in railroad like this. Absolutely love it. So this right here is the New York and Greenwood Lake Loco Shop, and he has got it complete with little dudes standing around. You got the garage doors. This, of course, as well, is its own custom building. So it's actually 2 buildings. Here's another one. Here's the roof. Here's the back of it. That's what you saw a minute ago when I was joking around. Not supposed to see that. These are the some of the heavyweight coaches and whatnot they would have had laying around. I threw a couple of those in there. They just had, you know, they were a very, very small railroad. They just had several little pieces of equipment. I think they even had a little doodle bug, or whatever you want to call it, little track machine that a lot of these big industrious companies have nowadays that don't want to buy an engine per se, but it's essentially a truck or like a tractor that's got rails, or wheels that can come down 4 rails, I meant to say. There's a little office over here. But it's just a cool area. So I've got some of the old Erie GP9s. Essentially, the New York and Greenwood Lake, I think they were GP7s. They had a GP7 and a GP9. Essentially, those were Erie Railroad locos. So they kept the paint and the logos and all that. They just changed, you know, the name. They painted on the new name and all that. So we don't have that in Train Simulator, unfortunately. I can't paint for crap, so I went ahead and just threw the Erie in here. You've got a couple of old cabooses, so I went ahead and threw one of those in. And of course, this big bluebird right here, U34CH, they have one of those. They had, past tense, should I say. They had one of those, and it was in complete disrepair. And I don't know what happened to it, but I think because when they dissolved and the company got sold off due to the IRS and you know, not paying taxes and all that, owing money to the government, they got rid of all their rolling stock. And I think maybe the Erie Heritage Association, I don't know the exact name, I think maybe they got it. But anyway, I've seen pictures of this thing, and it was in complete disrepair. It was just rusted to hell and back, the poor thing. But so there's a GP9, there's a GP7. You can have either one you want. Doesn't matter. It's all good. All right, continue on here. But it's just a cool little area right here. And like I said, working at different years and decades, you don't have to do this. You don't have to have this as like their loco shop, because this was the area I was talking about early on in the video called, what was the name of it? Philcon Services. So this was like their transfer station. And then New York and Greenwood Lake took it over. But anyway. Another one of many crossings. I just love how abstract the lines are back here. Just looking straight down satellite view like that. That's just... that couldn't have been easy to do. In real life or the game. Sorry, sim. The sim. But it's just cool as hell. And it's almost like a little island. In fact, I think they call this an island because back here somewhere there's a canal that they dug out. So anyway, there's the Passaic River running around us there. And it curves and goes all the way. There's another bridge right there. But these are all old, you know, early industrial buildings built back here. A lot of them still standing today, unfortunately, just in a very sad state, which sucks because, you know, these old buildings were cool as hell. They were built to last. They looked amazing. You know, they weren't made of cheap materials and in a short time span. But anyway, this is Passaic Wool & Co. I don't know that it was actually called Passaic Wool & Co. at any point when I was looking this stuff up. Minerman has it labeled, and Minerman, if you do know for certain, please let me know in the comment, or otherwise shoot me a message. Was it actually called Passaic Wool & Co.? Because a couple of things I looked up, I could not find that to a degree. It changed names several times, and then I think it finally shut down in the late 50s. But I couldn't find that exact name, Passaic Wool & Co., looking it up here, so. But anyway, this is it right here, and that's like your guardhouse, I think, right there at the front. It was both of these buildings, and then a multitude of buildings behind there, which you can't see currently. We'll see them in just a moment. So normally doing stuff like this, they'd have the conductor or whatnot hop out, you know, flag traffic, stuff like that. I was able to find one video of what was it? One video I was able to find of this area right here being serviced, and it's a pretty cool video. I can't remember who it was though. It might have been Erie Lackawanna. But even the way this place is built, man. These walkways going between both buildings. Just the buildings themselves. Just look it out. It's like one of those little Russian eggs. The things that just keep opening up. Smaller and smaller egg. I don't know what the hell they're called. But look at that. Just what all went into him creating this building. On a tiny little spur way out of the way off the main line. That's always what I'm trying to emphasize. It's a lot of detail and care. I mean, just look at the top of this place, man. All the vents and stacks and whatnot, and the windows, aeration, ventilation, all that stuff. Got an old water tower up here. I didn't see this until right now, actually. I didn't know there was like an atrium down here. That's pretty cool. I did not know that was there. These are obviously multiple buildings as well. So yeah, this whole facility was right here on the river because I don't remember how it came about when all these places started being built back here in the 1800s, but they figured out a way to dam up part of the river or some kind of lake that's nearby that dumps out into the Passaic, and they started harnessing the power of water. So they were all built on on the river. They started digging canals, stuff like that. Got another road back here. So this line, it's stopped right here, and they may have stopped it. Make sure we can get stopped. Speaking of stopping, they may have stopped it right here at a later date, but if I'm not mistaken, I feel like in real life the line actually went a little bit farther here and kind of bent around to the right here. Because I think this may be part of where the onloading took place, or offloading, sorry, with the rail freight. Anyway, I was looking at a map and I swear I saw tracks coming back here. But that those may have been closed early on, so they probably didn't exist for some years. But this place is just cool, man. Just the scale of it. The old brick buildings is massive. Looks awesome. Alright, so we'll go ahead and throw her in reverse. Cut these two boxcars so they can fill them up with whatever the hell they're going to fill them up with. Run backwards. But street running is awesome. I can't think of any, you know, person that enjoys trains or likes trains or has any kind of love for them doesn't like street running. There's just something cool about it. And this has got it. Just about the whole damn way down has got it. And it ain't very long, but still cool nonetheless. We gotta run all the way back through here. So we're gonna run back down here. We're gonna stop and push this car and basically trade it with a box car that's sitting down here at Atlantic Coast Fibers. And what's funny is that company lasted quite a long time. Just like this massive building, and a lot of these buildings around here we're looking at. This was primarily a Dutch community, like way back in the day. So there were immigrants that all started these businesses here. And ACF Fibers, this one we're going to next here, included. And they essentially kept this line open. You know, so it was pretty much up, and thanks to them that it was able to stay online here. And they operated for quite some time. They must have closed their doors in 2012 as well, because that's when rail traffic stopped, essentially, right down the spur. So, but they lasted quite a while. I think even at one point this facility that we're going to up here, which is just right up there on the right, burned down in the middle of winter. Massive fire. So that's it down there. Can you see how much lower those two rails are over there? Because the land kind of just, you know, dips down towards the water line. Rolling back by the New York and Greenwood Lake shops. Got an old car here. I don't think these tracks are used. I looked at this as well. I couldn't find much about it, but I threw a car here anyway, just to, you know, throw trash and crap in, which very well could have been happening. Right down there's the river. Got a dude watching the action unfold on his porch there. Alright, a little bit further. You can see the yard just down there. Now, he may be around here somewhere, Minerman's character. I've seen the Jeep several times, but it's thick back in here, man. It's a lot thicker than normal. But even stuff like this, look at this, man. The old railroad ties just scattered along the ground right there. That is optimal awesomeness. Alright, that ought to do it. Let's go give Atlantic Coast Fibers their low-sided gondola. Now, typically they receive this full, but I couldn't find anything that was semi-modern that, you know, was full. So this is what we're doing, sadly. The back side of Greenwood Lake Shops. .6% grade right there, so it's pretty quick. Like, alright, hopefully we can squeeze by here, because that's just about enough room for a 50-footer boxcar. And that's the one that's going out, so they'd fill that up with whatever the heck they make, and gets pulled back out for the, you know, at the time would have been Conrail interchange, but obviously Norfolk Southern interchange. Got a little garage right here, which is very cool, of course. Back up off this car here. So yeah, this is Atlantic Coast Fibers. Pretty big. You can tell it's a lot more modern. It's still got some older, you know, bits to it. The old brick building. And of course this one, just like every other building out here, is just a multitude of different assets. Just the roofs of these places is what's, you know, what gets me. They're so detailed, and that's a lot of what you see when you're outside, you know, aerial view and whatnot. There's Passaic River looping around back there. Got another huge factory here. I'm not sure if this is part of ACF's place here, but it may be. A couple old places where you can tell nothing but the foundation left. Alright, let's go grab that boxcar. Go ahead and throw the switch. That's a quick grade right there as well. That's 0.5%. And that's it. So we have got what ACF would ship out. All these customers were pretty much a weekly basis. They would each get about 1 to 2 cars a week, depending on what they needed. And then, you know, as many more during the month on demand and whatnot. But that's it, guys. Just a quickie, the Dundee Spur. We'll be on to the next one eventually in the coming days, but I hope you enjoyed the video. As always, thank you for watching, and stay safe out there. See you next time, guys.